Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. So ever since the pandemic, I feel like treadmill desks have just been absolutely taking off. With more people working from home and hybrid, they've really become that next fitness trend that is just absolutely dominating the internet. It seems great, right? You walk, you work, you move your body without even having to step away from your desk. But is it actually all it's cracked up to be? Me and my lovely friends and team members, Kenzie and Jess, wanted to find out. So we've been doing a 30-day experiment testing out the treadmill desk trend with 3 different walking pads for each of our own needs. We wanted to try and integrate them into our own lives, but not use them any more than what felt healthy and natural, to see if it's actually beneficial in our lives long-term or if it's just another fitness fad. So if you've been interested in getting one, if you've been on the verge of being influenced, let this video be your guide to what is actually like from 3 different perspectives. Me in my home office, Kenzie from home, and Jess hybrid. We'll be doing weekly check-ins with updates about how we've been using it, how we feel, and tracking our stats for distance and time. It's another one of my favorites where I try it, so you don't have to. So let's get into it.
I got the treadmill because it has this nifty little bar and also some extra like shock absorption. So I have chronic joint pain, which meant finding one with shock absorption was a huge plus. And the safety bar, it has an e-stop in it. The thing that made me really nervous about getting a walking treadmill are the teeny tiny remotes that they all come with. And the fact that this has another option to at least emergency stop it, because I'm a little clumsy, makes me feel like seen, safe, and held.
The thing that freaking sucks about these walking pads is almost none of them are plus size friendly. Most of these tap out at a 200-pound weight capacity. So I spent a lot of time looking for a walking pad that was, you know, somewhat budget conscious, but more inclusive of people of other sizes, so that if you're watching this video and you're my size, you're bigger than me, you're smaller than me, there's a treadmill that works for everyone. And it was freaking hard. So the one I ended up getting had a good number of really positive reviews. It has a 300-pound weight capacity, and it was only $259, which is expensive, but compared to, you know, a normal full treadmill that's like $1,000 plus, I feel like this is a pretty good deal.
So I'm not gonna lie, I really did not do extensive research on my treadmill like Jess and Sierra did. I kind of just went on Amazon, did a little, looked at the reviews, tried to find one that had good reviews but also wasn't crazy expensive.
All right. We did it. And I also got a mat to go underneath it, protect the carpet, not start a fire. And then we want to track our movement through this video. So we're gonna wear our Apple Watches. But I've seen some people talk about how when you're using a treadmill desk, the Apple Watch isn't registering the movement because your hands aren't moving. So I found this 4-pack of ankle watch bands for the Apple Watch. So we're actually gonna wear it on our ankles so it can better track the movement. In this video, we're gonna be focusing primarily on how we feel using the treadmill desk, how often we're using it. We're not gonna talk about calories or weight loss, but I'm really excited. I'm really interested to see how this goes and how much I actually end up walking. Because sometimes when I'm walking on the treadmill at the gym, I'll work from my phone a little bit, but I do find it hard to focus, or at least hard to type. So I'll do more passive things like watching back an episode of the podcast to review, but maybe that's just because it's a faster pace. Maybe if I'm walking like most of the day, but at a very slow pace, I'll be able to do both. I work part-time doing all of the YouTube and the social media things. I have 20 hours a week where I have childcare to work, and the vast majority of that is spent at my desk. And I love my desk. I have a great sit-stand desk, but even with that adjustability, after a day where I've really just been looking at my computer all day, stationary, my body feels tight, my body feels lethargic. I wanna move, but I don't always have the time after work. So, okay, I got the band on. I'm gonna loosen it all the way. It's also very stretchy. And then I guess I should wear shoes. I'm not wearing shoes right now because I'm in the house. All right, we're moving, we're grooving. We are treadmill desking. I'm walking at 3 miles an hour right now. It feels nice and sturdy and stable. Not too loud either, so hopefully it'll be fine for me to walk on this during my meeting that starts in 5 minutes. I feel like this is gonna be great for meetings and just more passive work, like reviewing footage and watching back videos. But I'm interested to see how it works with like actual typing and when I'm editing? Are my hands gonna be all shaky and wobbly from walking, or will it be fine? I don't know. I guess we will find out together. Got my glasses on, putting my headphones on, and let's join this meeting.
My experience with treadmills has been the really big old ones at the gym, at the like rec club. I have never used a treadmill in my house. Ta-da! I'm really excited to use it tomorrow. Like, walking on it while working gave my brain like a pause. Not surprised, I have ADHD. I feel like calm, and it like forced me to breathe. I know that sounds weird, but I'll get so hyper focused on what I'm doing, I will like forget about other things. And that forced me to like take, you know, actual, not shallow breaths. And so my brain finally has enough oxygen. I'm excited to hop back on this tomorrow. Stay tuned.
So I am just getting home from a trip, so I'm starting a few days later than the girls, but I am really excited for this one. I bought the treadmill desk maybe a month or two ago because I was scrolling TikTok and I saw it, and like most of the things you see on TikTok, I was completely convinced that this would just change my life. So it has pretty much been just sitting under my bed still. I feel like I run around so much during the day as it is, chasing my kids around, picking up after them, picking up after myself, that when I do have a chance to like sit down, I want to be in my bed. I am a bed girl. If my kids are in bed, I'm in bed. I feel like this will be a good challenge, but also just a good way to see how having the treadmill desk fits into my life, especially being someone who is not sitting at a desk a lot. Like Sierra or Jess, they have a lot of computer work, and I work one day a week for Sierra in person for a couple hours, and then the rest of the stuff I do at home, but most of it is just quick on my phone, on my computer, and I do that from my bed. I think the convenience of it will be what's key for me. Okay, she is all set up, plugged in. Here's our little work from home station. I'm going to change out of my jeans because working out, exercising, walking, whatever in jeans is automatic jail time. I'm gonna put my little Apple Watch ankle monitor on so I can track everything. I don't know if you're supposed to wear shoes or not with this because I threw the directions away. I'm gonna compromise and wear slippers. Let's do this. Slippers were not the move. They got sweaty and it was gross, so I kicked them off. Now I'm barefoot and I don't know if that's gross too. So I'm gonna have to ask Sierra and Jess if they're wearing regular shoes.
All right, I am pausing the treadmill desk and I found like the perfect pace for me. I started at 3 miles an hour, and I realized a few minutes into the meeting that I was actively thinking about every step, which I don't want to do. I want to just focus on the meeting, find a nice natural pace. So I started fiddling around with it and I figured out that 3.4 was like perfect. So that's where I think I'm going to default to. Well, it was perfect for the meeting, but once the meeting ended and I started trying to do some other work, I found it hard to be as efficient and as focused as I normally am. I first started doing some emails but my hands just weren't quite as stable. I was like hitting the wrong key every now and then, and it's just hard. I need my hands to be really steady. I need my movements when I'm editing to be precise so that I'm cutting where I want to cut and adjusting where I want to adjust. So as amazing as this was for the meeting, I'm a little bit worried about how useful this is going to be for the rest of my work. This month, I am really excited. I have been wanting to get a treadmill desk for so long. I've been waiting for the reason. I think a lot of the times when I've been working at my desk for hours on end, my body just feels like tight and heavy. I feel tired. I feel disconnected from myself. And so I'm hoping by being able to move my body while I'm getting work done, I can feel more present in my body and more connected to myself and hopefully just feel better. I think my biggest fear is really connected to my relationship with toxic productivity. It's something I've spent a lot of years unpacking and realizing that my worth as a person is not measured by my output in work. I'm a little afraid that this is gonna maybe send me back a few steps, that it will no longer be enough to just work. That now I have to work and walk to feel accomplished.
Going into this month, my expectations are to use it as much as I can. It's a busy month. We're filming multiple main channel videos. I'm moving and we're filming podcasts, but I'm really looking forward to getting to try to use something to hopefully increase productivity and take away some of my stress.
Going into this month, I really just want to use it. I want to see if and how I can integrate it into my life and just how it makes me feel. I haven't always had the best relationship with exercise and working out, but I do know that I genuinely feel a lot better when I'm getting movement in. This feels like maybe an easier, more convenient way to get movement in, move your body without the pressure of going to the gym or doing a workout class or, you know, just working out.
All right, week 1 is a wrap. I used the treadmill desk 7 times last week for a total of 7 hours and 52 minutes and 22.9 miles, which is a lot more than I would have guessed. I didn't feel like I walked 22 miles this week, but I think that's part of the magic of the treadmill desk. Once I was able to like get in the groove and get focused on my work, the walking was the secondary activity, and so time went by pretty fast. I didn't get bored like I would if I tried to walk for an hour straight on the treadmill at the gym. Like, the walking being monotonous was a benefit to the work, because once I was able to focus, which was harder that first day but did get progressively easier as the week went on, I just kind of went on autopilot and wasn't even really thinking about how much I had been walking, which in one way is a benefit, right? I'm getting that extra movement in my day without really having to think about it, and also without having to set aside extra time outside of work to exercise. It's really nice to be able to get some movement into my body while I'm working. But in another way that is a negative, because even though I'm moving my body, I'm not really connected with my body. I don't feel very present in that movement. And one of my favorite things about working out is getting that like satisfaction, endorphin, connected with my body feeling. So I found that even though I was walking a lot on work heavy days, I was still kind of craving a workout at the end of the day. And although it did get easier to focus on the work, I think my productivity was decreased a little bit by, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 10%. I was just slightly less focused, slightly less productive. And on Wednesday, day 3, I had some really important stuff I had to get done, and I didn't have a lot of breathing room in my schedule. So I was like, okay, I need to work on my laptop. I need to be able to sit down, just focus on this and get it done. So although walking on the treadmill while I work, I think definitely makes me feel better. I'm my most productive, my most focused, my most creative even when I'm able to just be a little editing goblin in my cave. But oh my gosh, for the less focus heavy work, for reviewing videos and doing meetings, checking emails, even doing like a rough cut of a vlog where it doesn't have to be so precise, I just absolutely loved using the treadmill desk. On my work days, I feel like it made me feel so much less stiff and just weighed down and hunched over. I felt so much better than usual. And on my non-work days, Tuesday and Friday, I really enjoyed using it during Grace's nap time. I came up here, got a little bit of work done, got to move my body, and it was just such a nice break. And to be able to get some work done and get a walk in at the same time at my house, I just loved it. It was awesome. So I used it every day, Monday through Friday. I didn't use it at all on the weekend. And now we are back to Monday, about to jump into week 2, and I am really excited. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, first walk of week 2. Here we go.
Okay, this week I walked a total of 3 miles. It took me 1 hour and 5 minutes, and I used the treadmill twice. It was pretty good. I'm loving having that safety bar feature. So far, so good. I'm definitely planning on, when I move, ordering a standing desk. If you keep seeing me looking over, it's because the treadmill's in the corner, and I'm just like, my love. But I've always wanted one of these, and I'm really I'm excited. I already got to use it a little. I'm excited to see if I'm able to use it a little more next week. Next week is a little hectic. We're filming the podcast. We batch film those. A lot of the computer work I'll be working on in office when I get to use the treadmill is most likely going to be some stuff for the main channel, a little bit of admin, but for the most part it is podcast related. I'm reviewing episodes, I'm updating schedules, I'm working with our editors. So I'm excited to get into next week, and yeah.
So my week was not a full week, but out of the days that I did do it, I used it a total of 4 times for 2 hours, 30 minutes, 34 seconds, and 6.98 miles. 7 miles because I round up. I really only used it during nap time this week, so I used it in 30-minute increments. I did use it for about an hour at the end of the day, one of the days, and that's the day I ended up walking 3 miles, and I was just finishing an episode, and then I finished one of my books, and before I knew it, it had been an hour and I had walked 3 miles, and I was like, Oh, go Kenzie. I am enjoying it. I think the biggest hurdle for me this first week was just remembering that I had it. I would sit down and I would read, or I would, you know, be answering emails, and it's like, wait, I should do this walking. Once I get in the rhythm of doing that, it's definitely, I am enjoying it a lot. I think the first couple minutes that you're doing it, I am focused on like, oh my gosh, okay, like I'm walking, and so I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing, or, you know, like vice versa. But once you do get in the habit of it, in the rhythm of it, you really do forget that you're even walking, and then all of a sudden you've walked a mile or 2 miles, or the other night I walked 3 miles. Like, it really is crazy how much you can walk while you're doing stuff, but like not even really know that you're doing it. This next week, I really want to try starting early in the morning. Like, I want to wake up at like 6 or 6:30, get up before my kids, get a walk in, and really see how that affects my day and my energy throughout the day. One thing I noticed in the first week is usually around 3 or 4 p.m. I kind of hit a wall. I've been, you know, laying around while my kids nap or whatever, and I'm just ready for my husband to get home. I'm ready to like do dinner time, bath time, bedtime, ready for the day to be over. But I did notice that when I was walking in the afternoon, I was more energetic. It was easier to get through the rest of the day without feeling like I was dragging my feet. So that is a huge plus for me, and if that continues, I'm sold. Yeah, I just feel like it would be really good to start my day like that. Start with some movement. Obviously, you know, starting with like a walk outside or going to morning yoga isn't something that I can do with my kids here, but if I could just get up and walk on my treadmill desk, knock some emails out of the way, I think that would be a really, really, really great way to start my day. See you in week 2.
All right, it is Monday. Yet again, week 2 on the treadmill desk is wrapped, so let's talk about how it went. I did 8 walks for a total of 7 hours and 26 minutes and 22.59 miles. So pretty much right on par with the first week, but the main difference was this week, in my actual work hours, I had very little desk time because this is the week that we were batch filming 20 whatever episodes. So I was in the podcast room right back there, sitting on the couch for most of the day. And then in the evenings, I'd be like, all right, I gotta get some editing done. I gotta get to some emails. And I had been stagnant all day. So really wanting to move, really craving that movement. And it was so nice and so convenient to be able to just do both at the same time with like just a little bit of time that I had at the end of the day. I also thought that by now the novelty of it would be starting to wear off. I'd be like, all right, yeah, that was a fun little haha thing to try. Now give me my chair back. But that really wasn't the case. I look forward to this and walking at my desk as part of my workday now. I feel better physically in my body, and I feel like I get less of that kind of mental fog that kind of sets in after a long stretch of editing. And also, I'm now getting so used to the treadmill desk that I feel like the issues that I was having last week of not really being able to edit while I was doing it and feeling like I was making so many typing mistakes, way less of an issue. I also just had to get more comfortable with walking slower. I think I was so caught up in the like, when I'm on a treadmill, I'm walking fast, but that's just not realistic when I'm also trying to work. And so finding a nice, comfortable, slow pace, just getting my body and my brain used to that really has made a difference this week. And I just felt so good using it. Well, I felt good mostly. I did kind of start to feel guilty about walking less and choosing to sit in my chair when I could have been walking. I just kind of started to get in my head about it and listen to my inner critic. Like, it was 10 o'clock at night and I just wanted to finish my edit, and I was sitting in my chair and I felt so guilty, and like that voice in my head was so loud of like, you could be walking right now, you should be walking, it's right there, there's no reason you can't. But like, it is perfectly okay for work to just be work. I don't have to multitask all the time just because I can. And I think if I'm getting in the mindset that it's not enough just to work, even when it's late at night, that's not a healthy place for me to be. I think that also may have been worsened by the fact that I saw a couple videos on TikTok of people talking about how they use their treadmill desk, and they were using it way more than me. Like, people consistently walking, 10 miles a day, 15 miles a day. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, that's embarrassing. I should be doing more. Why am I not not walking that much. And I also started my period this week, so everything just kind of compounded. But I feel like once I became more aware of that, I was able to be like, I'm shutting down that voice. I'm gonna use my treadmill desk when I wanna use it. Any amount that I use it is great. Whether it's a mile or 5 miles, all that matters is how I feel using it and not comparing that to other people on social media. But I'm glad I was able to stop that thought spiral because like I said, I genuinely have been loving the treadmill desk and I feel so good and I don't want to burn myself out on it. I also walked barefoot for the first time just purely out of laziness of not wanting to put my shoes on, but it was fine. I felt like it was grippy enough. The only thing is it did get kind of hot on my feet, so I couldn't use it for that long. So yeah, that was week 2. I mostly used it in the evenings and then during Grace's nap time on the days that I was with her, plus one lunchtime walk on the break from 20 whatever shooting. And now that that wrap up is done, I am headed right to my tread desk, put my watch on, and get started on week 3.
Hello. This week I used the treadmill once for 1 hour and I walked 3 miles, which was really nice. I didn't even really notice that I had been walking that long, which was good. It was very relaxing. So 2 things this week. We shot the 20 whatever podcast, which was so much fun. Those were great, but those days are a lot of me running around and then sitting for 2 hours. Me running around and then sitting for 2 hours. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. I ended up getting my period on one of the shoot days later in the week. And that was unpleasant, but at least I could sit with the heating pad and melt into my chair a little bit. I do really think it helped me get work done when I did get to use it the one time. It definitely helped with the period brain fog, when you're just so spaced out and it takes so much energy to try and focus. I found that using the treadmill actually really helped counteract that. So that was really positive and I enjoyed that. It gave me a little boost of energy, get back into my day. So less than I wanted this week, but for what I did, really enjoyable and really helpful.
Okay, week 2. This week I used the treadmill for a total of 5 days for 11.83 miles and 4 hours, 9 minutes, and 27 seconds. My son was sick this past week, so we were homebound more than usual, so I definitely used it a lot more, and it was actually such a nice outlet when I started to feel antsy or stir crazy. I also tried Sierra's desk when I was working in person on Wednesday, and I realized how much your setup actually makes a difference. Her desk is sitting higher than mine, and I was like, why is yours so comfortable? So I raised my desk up, and it actually makes a big difference. It feels more natural, and so therefore it's more comfortable and easier to just be typing or doing whatever while you're walking. I didn't have any issues before. I just noticed that bringing it up did make it easier. We had a virtual meeting this week too, and it really just re-emphasizes how much you forget you're walking when you're actively doing something. I was so distracted. By the time the meeting was over, I had walked over a mile and I just hadn't even been thinking about it. So it was a really good, really productive week. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really energetic. I'm a lot more used to it, and I'm just feeling really good about the usage so far and how it fits into my life.
All right, week 3 with the tread desk. I used it 6 times for a total of 5 hours and 51 minutes, and I walked 10.84 miles. So 2 main differences that I noticed from those statistics in the way that I used the tread desk this week. First, I just used it less. I didn't have as much work time this week as usual. I had one day with childcare, and that day we spent out of the office filming next month's video. So I was using the treadmill just in my spare time during Grace's naps, in the evenings after she went to bed, and for the first time this week on the weekend. And because I had just less time for desk work in general, every single time I was able to come up here and squeeze in a little bit of work, I was also walking. This was the first week that I wasn't moving it back and forth at all. And it is fairly easy to move it back and forth, but I just always wanted to be walking. And honestly, I think being able to come up here and walk while I work was part of my motivation for coming up here to get my desk work done whenever I could. The second main difference is if I thought I decreased my pace last week, I really did this week. I was walking so much slower, and I really have gotten used to it. From my Apple Watch, my pace was steadily around 27 minutes a mile, and I feel like I could do every aspect of my work walking at that pace. It is so funny to think back to that day one when I was walking faster than this and I was like, this is too slow. Like my brain can't focus on my work because I'm walking so slow. It just took some getting used to. I think the other problem was I've never used walking on a treadmill as my secondary activity whenever I was walking on the treadmill at the gym. Like that's what I was doing, what I was focused on. And that's kind of the mindset I was in at the beginning, that like walking was my primary objective and work was secondary, which I think is why I felt the need to walk so fast and also why I felt like my productivity went down. Whereas now I'm thinking of working as my primary focus and walking at a very slow pace is just kind of the monotonous secondary thing going on that I'm not even like fully paying attention to. And it's worked out really well. My hands are perfectly steady at that pace. I do not have as many typos as I was having. I can edit, I can think clearer, I can focus, and I think my productivity has gone up. Now going into our last week, week 4, it's really like 10 days, but week 4, I'm hoping to continue walking at this slow pace for the majority of my work, really only increasing the cadence for passive work like meetings, reviewing videos. And I also have 2 days with childcare this week and quite a lot of desk work to catch up on. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do quite a bit of walking. Hopefully my most miles walked yet, but we'll see.
Okay, so this week was busy. My total distance, none. My total time, none. Times I used it, nothing. This was the week I moved officially, and obviously very excited. There's just not enough hours in the day. And this week I feel like really reflected on that, and I feel sad I didn't get to use the treadmill as much as like I thought about using the treadmill, as silly as that sounds. I definitely noticed in the evenings is when I was like, I really wish, you know, it was here. So I moved it on day 4, which was Thursday of this last week. I was working all week and we had a busy week with the Disney bounding video, which is like so exciting. So we were up in Anaheim for a bit, and then the day before it was just a lot of like regular work in addition to prep for that video. And then I spent the rest of the week and weekend just packing and moving, and I'm just tired. So hopefully I can use it a bit more next week. So yeah.
Week 3. This week I used the treadmill for 4 days for a total of 8.63 miles for 3 hours, 12 minutes, and 45 seconds. I don't have too much to say this week that's different from last week. Thursday, I was so exhausted. I was just not gonna do it that day. I took a cold shower, it didn't help. I had a matcha latte, it didn't help. Towards the end of the day, at like 3-ish maybe, I was like, you know what? I'll walk on the treadmill. I'll do like a 25-minute walk. And I kid you not, it was the most energy. I'm not saying I had a lot, but it was the most energy that I had all day. Am I going to become like a spokesperson for exercise? No, but it did work for me. It's like when you talk about how you're just tired all the time and a fitness person will be like, you should work out more. And you're like, shut up. Listen, not saying they're right, but there may be something there. Other than that, it was a pretty average week for me. I read some of the new book that I'm reading. I did some work email. One of the days I just walked and had my lunch and watched Bridgerton. But yeah, I've been trying to do like 30 minutes to an hour, just whatever I'm doing, however I'm feeling. And it has definitely made a big difference for me. It's been pretty cloudy out lately, and it's nice to just open the window, walk, and then continue with the rest of my day. It helps me avoid the afternoon slump that really hits me hard sometimes, or used to. It definitely hasn't been as bad since I've been getting more movement into my day. 1 more week. I am super happy so far. Can't wait to see if anything changes for week 4, but yeah.
Week 4 has come to an end, which means this whole month, the whole video is coming to an end. And in the past 10 days, I walked for 10 hours and 47 minutes and 26.16 miles. Now, having gotten so comfortable walking at that very slow, like 2 to 3 mile an hour pace, I am honestly flabbergasted, that is the only word, that at the beginning of the month I was walking like 5 miles an hour trying to type. Like, no shit, I could not get anything done. That's crazy. Like that's just not, I couldn't do that now. I've gotten so comfortable walking slow, and thank goodness, because I feel like now it's just become such an easy and effortless part of my work routine, and the slower pace is a huge part of that. I've just gotten so comfortable with it, and I think I've been more productive. I just feel better, especially at the end of like a long editing session. I don't have that like physically tight, like disconnected feeling, and also mentally disconnected, and that sort of just grogginess from staring at a screen all day. I don't have that feeling as much. That used to be like a pretty standard part of a full workday for me. I did have one issue this week, which is really more about like tracking the statistics for the video than actually using the treadmill. But at one point, after a very long stretch of walking and editing, I realized that my watch was dead, and I had this like sinking feeling of like, oh my gosh, that didn't even count, right? Like if I'm not getting credit for it, like it's somehow a lesser experience. But my body doesn't know if my Apple Watch logged how long that I walked. It doesn't matter. I ended up doing the math and factoring that back into the total anyways. But even if I hadn't, it made me realize that I can get so fixated on those statistics and lose sight of the fact that the whole point of this is about me feeling better, getting more movement in my body, being less stationary, improving my health. An Apple Watch statistic has nothing to do with any of that. It's wild to think that I walked, what, like 82 miles or something just while working part-time and without having to set aside any extra time outside of work. 82 miles that I otherwise wouldn't have walked. I'm buying into the hype. What can I say? I'm a treadmill desk girly.
Final check-in. So I walked a total of 2 miles. It took me 50 minutes and I used the treadmill twice. I feel like I used it a lot less than I was expecting to, and I think it might just be circumstantial, you know. I don't know, I had a really busy work month. I guess hindsight bias, I really wish that like I had used it more during my stress instead of my regular coping mechanisms. Next month's a little less crazy. I'm personally excited to use it more. So far, been one of my biggest takeaways is when I am able to use it, I feel like I'm really benefiting from it. I did learn a valuable lesson, and that is I used it for the first time like in the morning. Previously, if I was using it at work, I would be fed and watered before I would come into work, so it wasn't a real issue. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun, and popped straight out of bed on Wednesday morning and was like, I'm gonna, you know, tidy up these loose ends before I go into the office. I thought enough to grab a protein shake and put it on my desk. I didn't think far enough to drink the protein shake. So I was like, why am I dizzy? And then I was like, oh no. And that's also was like nice having that little e-stop at the top. I was like, I need to get off of this for like a minute. I need to go take care of some things, eat something. Definitely not ever going to use it again without making sure I am fed and watered, because I did not like getting that dizzy, especially right before I needed to leave for work. It did really help me wake up Wednesday morning though. I did really love that. It was the first time that whole week and a half, 2 weeks, where I was like, felt actually awake before I like left for the day. And that was really cool. I don't know, felt very relaxing. I felt like my back was loosening up when I was walking after being, you know, curled up because I'm a side sleeper. And so I found that was really helpful. I also used it later in the evening, like kind of late. It was definitely after like 9 o'clock. And I really enjoyed that because I found myself just being really, really restless. I'd been working all day and doing things all day, but a lot of those tasks were more stationary. There was a lot less movement, or the movement was more, you know, arms, hands, unpacking, sorting, sitting on the floor, breaking down boxes, that kind of stuff. And I found I wasn't like moving that much in the way that I think my body needed. Usually that restlessness would turn into what feels like anxiety before I go to bed, which is then hard to sleep, and then you're not rested, and then you feel more anxious the next day, and it's kind of this cyclical, terrible little merry-go-round. And I found that like, oh, I could use my treadmill. So I listened to a podcast, did a little bit of work because I felt inspired. I definitely think I have a toolbox I didn't think I would have at my disposal, and I'm really grateful. I wish I had been able to use it more, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to try it in all of these like really stressful settings because I know it works.
Okay, week 4, our last week. This week I used the treadmill 6 times for a total of 5 hours, 19 minutes, and 14.96 miles, aka 15 miles. But I think that's my most yet. My husband had Friday off, and then Monday was a holiday, so we had 4 days just busy out doing stuff, going to the zoo. So we were really busy, and I honestly was not planning on touching the treadmill at all, just really soaking in time with my family, being outside. We do a lot on the weekends. But when Monday came around, we had more of a chill day, I was really ready to just get back into my routine, and walking has become such a big part of my routine that I was actually like I felt like I was antsy and grumpy, and I just wanted to like go have my me time, go walk 30, 45 minutes on the treadmill, and I did, and it really helped. I felt so much better. Just getting that movement, getting away, being in my own space, I feel like it helps my mood, it clears my mind, it gets like, you know, my body moving. So even if it's just a quick walk, checking emails, scrolling Instagram, reading a chapter of my book, or honestly just mindlessly walking, I really, really enjoy it, and it has become such like a sacred part of my routine. It's something that I look forward to, and it has become something that I feel is lacking when I don't do it. On Tuesday, I was editing a reel that I probably won't even post, but just in that time, I walked like 2 hours, like 6 miles. Honestly, all of that could have just been when I was looking for a song, but I swear, when you are doing something, you forget that you're walking. I'll look at my watch and it's like, oh, you've walked 4 miles, and I'm like, so that was crazy. I think that day was my most walked in this little experiment. I did slow it down on some of the more like tedious editing moments, but other than that, I really haven't had any mobility or balance issues while using it. I think my balance has actually gotten better, but just in the time that I have used it, I've walked over like 42 extra miles, which is crazy because it's had such a positive impact on me, and I've really liked it. I have definitely noticed a change in my energy levels, my productivity. I feel like it's really actually helped that brain fog or like mom brain, and I'm just really happy that we did this, and I'm really happy that TikTok influenced me to buy it, and then Sierra wanted to do this video, so I got to actually force myself to use it. Now that I'm in a routine, I definitely do not see myself going back. I really, really like it a lot. That's all I got.
My expectations for this month were pretty much met, maybe even a little bit exceeded. I just absolutely loved this treadmill, and I was really surprised at how quickly walking on the treadmill while I was working became like a seamless part of my routine. The biggest surprise for me was how much I was choosing to use the treadmill desk even outside of my like set working hours. Anytime I was able to come up and get a little bit of work done during Grace's nap or in the evenings, I was excited to use the walking pad. I moved it back and forth from my desk a little bit, but I would say probably 80 to 90% of my work this month I did while I was walking.
I think my expectations for reality versus what actually happened in this 30-day experiment were a little off, and I'm trying not to feel disappointed at it because at the end of the day, I really enjoyed when I did get to use the treadmill, and I'm excited about that process. I definitely experienced a lot of joint pain in the second half of the month after I moved. It was a lot of, you know, boxes, unpacking, just a lot of carrying things around, painting, and I didn't really expect it to hurt my body the way that it did. After all of that, though, when I did get to use the treadmill, it did help, you know, loosen up my joints, and I found a lot of relief in using it, even though I didn't get to use it to the frequency in which I was, you know, really excited to.
I feel like reality honestly exceeded any expectations that I would have had prior to these 30 days. I definitely prefer being outside when I'm walking, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna just feel like a hamster on a hamster wheel, but I ended up really loving using it, and I felt a lot better.
The biggest hurdle that I had with the treadmill desk this month was honestly just mental. My own issues that I'm working through with my relationship to exercise, specifically to like tracking statistics and to toxic productivity. You know, I found myself sometimes getting into those mental traps of, oh, I'm not using it enough. You know, this person on TikTok used it so much more than I did. Or, you know, feeling bad when it was late at night and I was choosing to sit and edit instead of standing up and walking, or not walking fast enough. I think reflecting on my first week with the treadmill, I felt mentally uncomfortable walking slow, partially just because I wasn't used to it. I'm a fast walking woman, but also because to me, you know, if I can walk faster, I should. When sometimes it's fine to walk at 2 miles an hour. It's fine to take breaks. It's fine to not use it all the time. And my biggest struggle was just finding a really healthy, natural balance for how this fits into my life without always chasing more.
Biggest hurdles when I was working in office is I work part-time in office, part-time from home. When I'm here, I'm working with the team. We're shooting, we're filming, we're prepping things to shoot and film. I'm on my feet, and there isn't a lot of downtime scheduled for long computer work, or sometimes any computer work. That's usually what I do remote. And so I found it hard for me to justify when the treadmill was here in the first half of the month, hopping on it for more than like, I don't know, 20 minutes at a time, because then I needed to rush off and go handle something else that needed to be done in office. But when I was at home, that's primarily when I do podcast, anything computer related work, that is when that gets done. So I definitely think that it was way better suited having it at home versus in office. And it's difficult to say because again, I did just move this month, but I am really excited to see how I'm able to integrate it moving forward.
The biggest hurdle that I faced this month was honestly just in the beginning. I don't have a lot of desk work where I'm sitting where I would need to use it. So for me, it was kind of, I would use it to get moving in on maybe times that I had downtime, like my kids' nap. And in the beginning, I was like, do I really want to go walk on a treadmill when I could simply lay in bed? Getting there mentally was the biggest hurdle in the beginning, but once I realized, oh my gosh, I actually feel a lot better. My productivity is better. It kind of got me over the midday slump. I was like, this is great. Other than that, I really didn't have any issues.
A huge benefit for me with using this treadmill was just how much more connected I felt to my body and how much more loose it felt. That's a weird way to describe my body, but it didn't feel stiff. I didn't feel tight. I didn't feel like I had been sitting in one stationary position all day. I feel like it took some getting used to, where at the beginning my productivity did fall behind a little bit, but once I got used to it, I think I was more productive because I felt better and my body felt good.
One of the biggest benefits I was surprised by using this for a month was I thought it would help productivity, and I definitely think it did after lunch when the brain fog is the most extreme for me. But I was really surprised how helpful it was for stress relief, like not for work. And that's something I'm really, really excited to use in the new place.
So the biggest benefits that I've noticed this month are my energy levels, my mental clarity, and honestly, my mood. I feel like being at home all day with my kids, it is so easy for me to just get into like this overstimulated brain fog funk, and being able to then go get some movement in became like a little me time escape. I feel like it really just gave me that midday reset that I needed.
I would totally recommend this treadmill. I had zero problems with it. It works great. I didn't fall at all, so that's something to be said for the grip of this because I'm a pretty clumsy person. The remote was awesome. It was very easy to move back and forth when I wanted to sit at my desk. Really, my only complaint with this treadmill is I wish it had a higher weight capacity. I wish that it could accommodate people in bigger bodies, because everyone, no matter what size you are, deserves to have access to ways to move your body and connect with yourself and feel better about the body that you're in.
After using my treadmill for 30 days, I would definitely recommend it. I don't personally know how Sierra and Kenzie did it without that bar. I didn't put it down once, and I think that that feature really, really made it for me. And then it was really, really quiet, like more so than I was expecting quiet, both on carpet with the pad and on hardwood after I moved, that I could use it at any hour of the night and it not be an issue for any neighbors.
I would definitely recommend the treadmill that I got. I had no issues with it. It was easy to use. I liked the remote. It has like little wheels on the front, so it's easily movable. I like to store it under my bed, so it was nice that I was able to pull it out, use it when I wanted, and then tuck it away so it's out of sight when I don't. I would definitely recommend it.
Moving forward, I think my use of the treadmill desk is gonna be pretty much on par with what it was the past month for the video. I absolutely love it. I feel so good when I'm walking while I'm working. I've gotten really used to it. It fits so seamlessly into my life. I think maybe I'll use it a little bit less for editing when I'm, really wanting to focus and get in the groove. And also there are some times of work that I just prefer to not do while I'm walking, and that's perfectly okay too. In the end, I think the treadmill desk fad will probably fade a little bit from the public zeitgeist, but for me, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think I'm gonna continue to use it, and I am absolutely happy with my purchase. I've tried a lot of things for videos, some of which stick around for a long time, like the Peloton bike, like the curly girl method, and there are other things that I've tried and completely forgotten about, and I can't list them because I forgot about them. But I think the treadmill desk is absolutely gonna be in that first category of things that have a much longer lifespan in my own routine than just for the video.
Moving forward, I think my use of the treadmill is going to be either early in the morning or late at night. The reason I say late at night is, do you ever lay down and you're so restless and you're like, I feel anxiety and I can't go to sleep now, but I don't want to go walk out in the neighborhood at like 11 with my headphones or my podcast or whatever I'm using to decompress from my day, like I don't feel like I can. And this has given me a tool where I feel like I can get that movement out and that energy and that leftover day zoomies gone, and then actually get to like lay in bed and be like, ah, peace. So I'm actually really excited to use it not work related. I will still use it work related. I really enjoyed using it for when I was reviewing and listening back to podcasts before they went live. Specifically for the podcast, I found it really helpful. But anything I was doing a ton of typing with, I'll probably stick to more stationary. I definitely think my walking treadmill is going to stay home for my remote days or for when I get home from work. That is when I wanted to reach for it the most. So for me, this was definitely best suited for work from home.
I will definitely continue using the treadmill. I feel like my usage the past month was really easy, really convenient, and felt really natural to me. I found myself wanting to use it on days maybe I thought that I wouldn't. So even without knowing that we're filming a video about it, I can definitely see myself still using it. But keep me accountable. DM me in 2 months and ask if I'm still using it. Maybe I'm not.
So that is it. I say that is it as if you haven't been watching for like, what? This video is probably gonna be like an hour. So if you're still watching now, thank you. You are the MVP. Let's do a special emoji in the comment for people who made it to this part. Let's do the disco dancer. If you're still here, drop a disco dancer in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. Be confident, be kind to your body, and I will see you next month. Bye.